We know writing involves creativity, critical thinking, and deep understanding of language, right? And communication skills, which are very hard to duplicate, even for machines. AI can assist with a lot of things, generating content, but it often requires human input to ensure coherence, originality, quality. Anyway, we know that writing extends beyond just content creation and includes tasks like editing, proofreading, adapting content for different audiences or platforms. These are areas that often require human judgment and expertise. So I think instead of replacing writers, technology is going to be used as a tool to enhance their writing abilities. So it's really important to note that the Writers Guild of America and the Screen Actors Guild of American Federation of Television and Radio Artists, which is SAG-AFTRA, they're both prominent labor unions in the entertainment industry, and they're both affiliated with each other. The Writers Guild represents and advocates for the interests of the writers, while the SAG-AFTRA represents and advocates for the interests of the actors, performers, and broadcast journalists. Although they're separate unions with distinct memberships, they often work together on common issues such as contract negotiations, industry standards, and collective bargaining agreements. So their collaboration is what helps to protect the rights and welfare of both the writers and actors within the entertainment industry. It's important to note that there's only been 3 significant writer strikes. That's, the 1960s, they had a strike that lasted 151 days. Then they had another one in 1988 that lasted 155 days. And then they had, I think the last one was in 2007, around 2007, 2008. And yeah, so they've had definite strikes that have caused stagnation in getting new, shows out and television shows produced. And, so moving forward though, let's look at some of the stuff that's going to be affected because, obviously you guys want to know if your favorite shows are going to be canceled. I think this whole thing is a strategy to get rid of as many writers as possible, keep only the leading writers in the industry, and pay people less, and also change just disrupt the entire industry altogether so that they can push artificial intelligence and not have to pay people as much. This is all a money thing.
You share the wealth because you cannot exist without us. Stand tall right now. We are all going to be in trouble. We are all going to be in jeopardy of being replaced by machines. Streaming, digital, AI. This is a moment of history.
So this is Fran Drescher. Now, the reason I wanted to give you a background of SAG-AFTRA and Writers Guild and all that is just for you to understand that there's a lot of moving entities here. It's not so cut and dry to just go on strike and then everything's easy. There's a lot of negotiations that take place behind the scenes. Now, obviously, we want to get this problem solved. Obviously, we want to get people back to work. I know people like to create conspiracies around every single thing, but sometimes it just has to do with one thing and one thing only: money. There's no conspiracy behind the mere fact that there's greedy people that just want more money for themselves. And it's simple as that. It's bad enough the entertainment industry is already suffering because many of us have been boycotting all of their crap, me included. There's a lot of shows on Netflix, Prime, that I just pass on because I have no intention of filling my brain with nonsense or things that do not resonate with me. But anyways, back to what I was saying about her and why I'm bringing her up is that Fran did a press conference for, talking about the Writers Guild. And by the way, guys, just so you know, the writers have been on strike since probably the beginning of summer, or for me, the beginning of summer, which is like May 1st. All right. So they've been on strike for quite some time now. And obviously more and more actors are coming out in support of the writers saying, we got to do better. And, I'm sure even actors at some point go on strike themselves to get more money from these major studios. And then we'll see tons of other actors who are just doing their grand posturing, in my opinion, like Dermot Mulroney, who walked off The View the other day because he had to stand in solidarity with his writers. Give me a break. Most of these guys that are coming forward and saying that they stand in solidarity are people worth $150 million, worth a lot of money, and are not concerned with the writers. To keep in mind just what writers make They make a very small amount. And when I say very, I don't want to put them on blast like that. Go look it up on the internet. But I actually had a friend when I was in my 20s that was a writer, and he was making back then maybe 40,000 a year, just to put things into perspective. Here's where the conspiracy comes in. Many people are thinking that the studios don't really care anymore what the writers think or the actors think, because there's a lot of AI robots that are going to probably take their job. But we need to be very careful with AI, people. All right. AI is a dangerous, dangerous thing. Even the godfather, they call it, of AI said that he just sees that there's going to be problems with this in the future, because we know that there's already deep fakes being put out. That's why I showed you this clip of Hillary. I remember seeing her say she endorsed DeSantis, and that's just false, obviously. But some people will actually read into it that maybe she did say those things.
In that groundbreaking AI proposal, they proposed that our background performers should be able to be scanned, get paid for 1 day's pay, and their company should own that scan, their image, their likeness, and should be able to use it for the rest of eternity in any project they want with no consent and no compensation.
The writers, he's basically talking about extras, background people, that basically these studios, Netflix, Prime Studios, Paramount, all these studios can take your image and use it and duplicate it in the future, and they don't need to pay you for it. That's ridiculous. And everything Fran says, I totally agree with, but I just wish we had the same fervor and fight in us, because I see a lot of people not organizing and understanding that if we came together as a group of people, we could organize our efforts and get what we deserve, monetarily. Look, capitalism doesn't have to fail, but it will if people continue in this method of greed. We have to come together and say, no, I agree with her, and I agree with her passion, and I'm with the writers. I say fight for what you want. And these are just some of the shows that are going to be affected. Look at that. Ring of Power, House of Dragon, Walking Dead.
Hi there. Welcome to CEO Fridays. Food only for CEOs and greedy billionaires. Come, here's some of my favorite clientele. We have Ted Sarandos here with his perfectly white teeth, and Reed Hastings. And here's about the minimum requirement of net worth that you need to eat here. This is money that these gents have taken right from the pockets of hardworking writers.